If you go to prison, how long until you're someone's bitch? Is it 3 minutes or 4 minutes? That's what I tell them. You got to look yourself in the eye because no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
No one's coming to save you. Now,
a lot of the guys that I see, like, come on, they think, like, because I'm not 6'2", I'm not super good looking, whatever the excuse is, right? They have to settle in life, and they can't get the 10 or the girl that they want.
Yeah.
And I think our part of, like, MOA, like, couples community, is that you can do that. So what's your prescription when you encounter that on a coaching?
Yeah, it's for men. One of the problems we have is it's perception bias. Like, so because we are so obsessed with physical attractiveness, youth and beauty, hip to waist ratios, signs of symmetry, etc. Because we're so obsessed with it as men, that's why pornography is 98% consumed by men, gay men and straight men. Because we think that, then we start thinking women think that about us.
Right.
And the reality is women have so many other things that they're attracted to about men. And some of those things can completely outweigh or pave over certain things. You guys have seen it. Dudes are rich enough to where girls don't give a shit that he's short. You know what I'm saying? You've also seen guys that have an incredible personality and girls don't even notice. Does that make sense?
Right.
I've seen all these things. I told you before about there's a certain cocktail server you were asking me about before and about her boyfriend. Yeah. And you asked me the question, like, he's kind of short. Like, why is she dating him? And I was like, I remember the first time I met that guy, I immediately wanted to punch him. He was so cocky. He was so fucking sure of himself. And by the way, his name is Chad. He was so fucking sure of himself. And I was watching this dude. Later on, I become friends with him. He's a super cool guy. But at the first point, I just remember watching this guy, and his way of being, I could tell all these girls were fucking attracted to him because he was just so on it. You guys remember when I told you about somebody, you have to just get it? Somebody taught him how to get it. But I can't teach. You have to be exposed to it on a regular basis in order to see it.
Right.
So
I got a buddy of mine who is like 5'4", 5'5". He's one of my best friends. I was actually on FaceTime with him that night in your apartment. He used to have this thing where, like, he just didn't think he was tall enough for girls to like him. And by this point in time, like, I had overcome my own limiting beliefs about my height. And it also helped that I had a friend that was shorter than me. Like, that actually kind of helped because I was like, oh, I'm 5'9". Like, I should be able to do this. And we'd be out at places in a social environment, and he'd be like, dude, that girl's hot. I'm like, dude, she likes you. And he'd be like, what? No way. I'm like, yeah, you don't see her laughing at everything you say and, like, touching your arm when you talk. Like, what are you talking about? Get back out there. Go talk to her. And after I was able to kind of, like, destroy his limiting belief about his height enough times, I mean, this dude's hooked up with girls that are, like, models that are 6'2", 6'3", like absolute stunners that are way taller than him. And I've seen the text they send him after where they're like, oh my God, you're the shortest guy I ever been with. I didn't expect it to be that good. He lays it down. Everything ends up being great. But the point is that, like, all he had to do, literally all he had to do was receive permission from me first.
Yeah.
And then he finally went for it. And after that, it's never affected him since then. His girlfriend right now is like 3 inches taller than him.
So to answer your question is there are several different attraction triggers. I would work on all of them. One of them is physique. One of them is speaking voice. One of them is a sense of humor. One of them are social alignments. One of them is money. One of them is competency. One of them is access. One of them is physical attractiveness, including facial symmetry or the construction of a guy's face. Height is another one. Muscularity is another one. If you have all these attributes, why not just get them all up to 80? Obviously, you can't do anything about eye color and height, but the rest of them you can do something about, okay? And let me tell you something else. This is a really interesting thing. Do you guys know the answer to this, but, like, if women like guys who have big muscles, do they give a shit that he took steroids?
No.
Nope. Never. Well, you remember Eddie Falco in The Sopranos? Do you remember how she would spend Tony Soprano's money?
Yeah.
But she didn't give a shit where he made the money, did she? When guys get hair plugs or veneers and you look good after you got the hair plugs or veneers, do you think women give a f that you got hair plugs or veneers? They only care about the finished product. Just like you as a man really don't give a shit if you like fake boobs. I don't think fake boobs have no utility in the world. Zero. And I love the shit out of them, right? Even though I know that they're fake, it doesn't bother me. That's how humans are. They just care about the finished product.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like, that's why looks maxing is just so absolutely important. But the one for free, guys, remember, there's always one free attraction trigger everybody gets, and that's pre-selection.
Right.
The way you get pre-selection, if you don't have any girls that are, that really like you, is by making a ton of female friends. Having those female friends be teammates. Taking those female friends with you to events. Make sure you handle everything in the event. Make sure you're, like, the birthday party, you get the comp set up, whatever. Girls are super comfortable hanging out with you. First it's 6, then it's 12, then it's 20. Now you're the dude showing up to places with 20 girls on a regular basis. You're going to events with 20 girls. Then you're throwing your own events. Now 30, 40, 50, 100 girls. Now you're throwing it with other cool guys that are just like you. They're in your network. Now you're throwing parties with 200, 300, 400 girls. That's what's happening. In that instance, what's happened is now the ratio has become so high in your favor, and everyone at the event looks at you as the leader. That is how you crush that.
Right.
That is how you crush that.
You know, Mike, tackle on this, because like what you said, even though like personally you and I have seen this for ourselves, but not only Michael do it, what you're saying sounds really too good to be fucking true for a lot of guys where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Right? How do you do that with that when someone they first like start working with you and like they've been in like a rut, like they haven't had a girlfriend in years, they just got cheated on, and they see this like mountain that they have to climb and they think like, well, how's this even possible for me?
Testimonials.
Yeah.
Like I try to appeal to their logical brain.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's a guy broker than you, shorter than you, and browner than you, and look at his girlfriend.
Right.
Wake the up. You want to know what else I do when they're really hard cases? Nick Santonastasso. Motherfucker doesn't have he's missing 2 legs and an arm, and he's dating a supermodel.
Right.
You can politely and kindly and respectfully shut the fuck up, bro, with your fucking excuses. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like Nick Santonastasso is a hot girl and you're sitting there making these excuses. Bro, you are a man living in North America in 2024. You know how incredibly lucky you are? You have hundreds and hundreds of possible attraction triggers with which to meet thousands and thousands of women, and from those choose your life partner to which you will have children. You have the incredible ability to do so. You are incredibly fortunate, and your ancestors didn't. They had to pick from 7 or 8 girls that lived in the same village that they lived in back in Suffolk, England in the 1560s, okay? That's what your ancestors had to pick from, and you don't have to do that. You can pick whoever you want, but you have to build yourself up. When these dudes are like, he was talking about they want a virgin or whatever, they want this high-value woman or whatever, and I'm like, look at you, bro. Look at you. You look terrible. You look like, why would a woman want to be with a man who looks like he can't handle himself? When I look at some of the clients, when I first meet them, I'm like, I know if you go to prison, how long until you're someone's bitch? Is it 3 minutes or 4 minutes? That's what I tell them. You got to look yourself in the eye because no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
No one's coming to save you. Now, in a larger sense, we're talking about prison, but in a macro sense, we're talking about in life. No one's coming to save you with your job. No one's coming to save you with your women. Guys, do you guys understand? I don't care what they told you at church about God's going to send you someone special. You go to youth group every fucking Wednesday and you go to church with them, whatever. If you come home and don't do anything, do you know how easy it is for a man to go 10, 15, 20 years without going on a date or getting laid? It's so easy to do. It really is easy. All you got to do is get above 40, 50% body fat. 50%. Like, all you got to do is get about like 25, 30% body fat. You do that, all of a sudden the pool of women that you have to choose from just plummets.
Yeah.
By the way, a woman can be at that same body fat and her pool of men she could choose from is almost infinite. Okay. It doesn't work the same way. Someone is coming to save women. That's the big difference. We talk about the OnlyFans economy and how it's growing. It's like the simp economy is growing even faster. But a lot of times someone will come in and swoop the woman up. There's nobody coming to save you as a man. There's nobody coming to save you. You got no excuses.
Yeah. You know, the thing we should just put on the table right now is like, I think a lot of people, whether that's with like when they sign up for a program with you, they start doing coaching like with us, and we're doing something, they almost like want us to like tell them it's okay. Like we want to validate their excuses. Like their excuses are okay. Like we should stay this way. And I'll be honest with you, and I think you'll agree with this. If you want someone to validate your excuses and like bask in this victim with you, don't join
bro.
MOA.
Don't just
do not join.
Block me on Instagram. If you want somebody to validate
don't come
your
on
shit,
the call.
For sure, bro. These guys come on the call and they don't have their lights set up properly, and they just look like their haircut is from like clearly something they got it during high school that their mommy got for them, and they're wearing Walmart jeans that their mom got them in junior high. Like that, it's crazy, man. When you see people who don't even try to get it,
right?
That not looking good is not just a function of being aesthetically pleasing. It also shows the opposite sex that you care enough to at least try. Right. And what happens when men stop trying? You see them. You see them at the end of the bar with the big old man boobs, drinking beer, getting fat at the truck driver who just is totally given up. What happens? Do they get more attractive or less attractive? Right. They get less because the primary, again, we talk about primary drive or emotion. For women, it's attention, and for men, it's sex. And when that drive goes away, you see them just letting themselves go.
Yeah. And there's just no fucking room for that in MOA because we're not going to validate that.
Yeah, we're not going to validate that. And but the more important thing to understand is that there's no like the Big Bang Theory where Penny moves into across the hall from Leonard and then they eventually get married. Yeah. That girl who's a perfect 10 is not moving in across the hall from you. It's not happening.
Right.
You don't even, most of y'all don't even know your neighbors. It's not going to work that way. Yeah. You're going to meet somebody on social media or you're going to have a friend introduce them. And when your friend is a really attractive female, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting more attractive women 100%. For you to date.